Okay, let's look at another example where multiple independent dimensions create complexity. The example of a reporting system. Now, here's what a typical reporting system that generates sales reports would look like from an initial approach perspective. We query today's sales, we build HTML and email it. Everything is tangled together. Now, if you need to go ahead, if you need weekly reports as a future requirement, you duplicate this with a different query. If you need a PDF format, duplicate the different formatting. Need file storage instead of email, duplicate with different delivery logic. Now, we'll go back and ask the same question that we've asked in our previous example. What are the independent dimensions over here? Here again, there are four different dimensions. You have time period, which can be daily, weekly, monthly, or custom ranges. This doesn't depend on format or delivery. The concept of weekly is the same whether you're generating HTML or PDF. The second is data sources. You could have sales, returns, or inventory. What data you're reporting is independent of when you report it. The third is format. It could be HTML, PDF, Excel. The format is orthogonal to both period and source. Any data can be formatted anyway. And the fourth is delivery. You could have email, file storage, dashboard. How you deliver a report is independent of what it contains. These are orthogonal axes. You have three options per axis and four axes. So that's 81 combination. You can't write 81 methods. When axes are tangled, adding an option to one axis requires modifying code for every other option on other axes. When axes are separated, adding an option requires exactly one new implementation. Now, let's go ahead and perform the same exercise and separate these axes through interfaces. First, let's look at the time range. The contract is simple. It provides a start and end date. And here would be a typical daily range implementation. This takes a reference date and returns the start and end of the day. Weekly and monthly ranges follow the same pattern. Now, obviously, the date math would be different in their case. This, to a lot of you familiar, is the strategy pattern where you are encapsulating each variation behind a common interface. Now, let's look at data extraction. Here's the interface. The contract says extract data for a time range. Here's how we go ahead and extract sales data. We take the database in the constructor. When extract is called, we query between the time range boundaries. Similarly, an inventory, extractor would query different tables but use the same interface. Next is formatting. Let's define the formatter interface. The contract here is format date into a document, and here's a HTML formatter implementation. We build HTML structure around the data. A PDF formatter would create different structures but follow the same interface. Now for delivery, here's the delivery interface. The contract is to deliver a document to a target. Here's the email delivery class. We extract the email address from the target and send via the email service. File storage would save to disk using the same interface. Now let's orchestrate these strategies into a report generator. Here's the method signature. The method accepts all the strategies. Now let's walk through what it does. First, we extract the data. We're asking the extractor to get data for the specified time range. Next, we create metadata about the report. This captures information describing the report. Then we format the data. We are delegating to a formatter to create the document. And finally, we deliver it. Each step delegates to a strategy. The generator coordinates but doesn't implement any specific behavior. Now let's see this composition in action. Here's how we generate a daily sales report as HTML via email. 5 objects composed together, each handles one concern. Want monthly inventory as PDF saved to file? Same generator, different composition. Now you haven't written hundreds of methods. You've identified orthogonal axes and gone ahead and separated them.